Hello. Welcome again to Diving Deep. It's good to see you again. We are continuing in our deep dive into the book of Numbers. And we are in chapter 16, where we left off last time. We're starting in verse 41 today, so please turn there if you're following along, which I hope you are. Okay. This is after Korah and his congregation have been swallowed up by the earth. On the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Oh my goodness. They just don't learn. They don't learn. You know, Korah and his congregation, they complained against Moses, and look what happened to him. And these folks are doing the same thing. Look what they're saying. You have killed the people of the Lord. They're saying it's all your fault, Moses. Just complete disregard, to God himself. It's unbelievable. 42. Now it happened when the congregation had gathered against Moses and Aaron, they turned toward the tabernacle of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of meeting, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." Before the first thing that happens, the cloud, there's the cloud, and then the glory of the Lord appears. When we say the glory of the Lord appears nowadays, we say, "Oh, that's a great thing." It's not always a great thing. Look at this. The glory of the Lord appeared, and then the Lord says, "Get away from the congregation, that they may consume them in a moment." This time, the glory of the Lord is not a good sign. And they fell on their faces, Moses and Aaron. Yeah, whenever there's an uprising, Moses and Aaron always fall on their faces before God. This shows humility. This shows a humble heart. And it's because they know who God is. They know how great He is. And they have enough reverence for God that they're going to fall on their face, because they know how puny and insignificant they are compared to Him. And God gives grace to the humble. When you humble yourself before God, He will listen to you. All right, good word of wisdom there. All right, 46. So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a censer and put a fire in it from the altar, put incense on it, and take it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from the Lord, the plague has begun." Then Aaron took it as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and already the plague had begun among the people. So he put in the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living, so the plague stopped. Now these who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the Korah incident. So Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, for the plague had stopped. Okay, well, God's original intent was to consume everybody. However, through the intervention of Moses and Aaron, there were some that perished, but atonement was still made, and not everyone was perished in this plague. It eventually came to an end. Yeah, Moses, he intervenes on the people's behalf. And this is foreshadowing of Jesus Messiah being of him intervening on our half. He is our advocate against the accuser, which is the devil. Okay? So, yeah, so much just constant foreshadowing found, here in the not just the book of Numbers, but all 5 books of the law. Right. Now we move to chapter 17, the budding of Aaron's rod. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and get from them a rod of each father's house, all their leaders according to the fathers' houses, 12 rods. Write each man's name on his rod, and you shall write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there will be 1 rod for the head of each father's house. Then you shall place them in the tabernacle of meeting before the testimony, where I will meet with you. And when it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose will blossom, thus I will rid myself of the complaints of the children of Israel, which they make against you. So Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and each of their leaders gave him a rod apiece for each leader, according to their fathers' houses, 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among the rods. And Moses placed the rods before the Lord in the tabernacle of witness. Now it came to pass on the next day that Moses went into the tabernacle of witness, and behold, the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds, and produced blossoms, and yielded ripe almonds. And Moses brought out all the rods from before them, from before the Lord, to all the children of Israel, and they looked, and each man took his rod. And the Lord said to Moses, Bring Aaron's rod back before the ark of the testimony, to be kept as a sign against the rebels, that you may put their complaints away from me, lest they die. Thus did Moses, just as the Lord had commanded him, so he did. So, okay. What's the symbolism of this? The budding of Aaron's rod. Well, the rod represents resurrection power. It's resurrection by the power of God. Now, what's the rod? Well, in its original state, it was dead. It was just a dead piece of wood. But it was placed in the presence of God. And the power of God came on the rod, and it came back to life. From death to life. And it has buds and blossoms and almonds. So what do these represent? Well, buds. They represent the beginning. The beginning stages. Quite possibly, a newly born again, a babe in Christ, still young, still immature, still needing time to mature. Okay, and then you have blossoms. That is a sign of maturity. And then finally, almonds. The blossoms are now bearing fruit. Fruit. That is the ultimate goal in maturing. When you start bearing fruit, you are ripe. You have reached true maturity. Now here's something else to consider, and this is in nature. When the fruit comes, the blossoms, they die. And this is symbolic of us dying to ourselves, so that the fruit of the Spirit shines through. We are dead, so we can be alive in Him. That is maturity. When you're truly dead to yourself. And just how are you dead to yourself? When you are I believe when you truly become dead to yourself, it's when you are just have so much faith that God has got you. So much faith that God is taking care of you and will provide for you, will protect you, that you don't have to think about yourself. You don't have to be concerned about yourself. You don't have to worry about yourself because you know that you're in good hands. You're in God's hands. And therefore, you can focus on Him, and you can focus on others, being a witness to them, and worshiping God, but no concern at all about yourself. You don't care about yourself anymore because you don't have to care about yourself anymore. God's got you. Okay. Okay. Continuing on, verse 23, verse 12 and 17. So the children of Israel spoke to Moses, saying, "Surely we die, we perish, we all perish. Whoever even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Shall we utterly die?" What's happening here? It's that the people realized that God had revealed His will through His miraculous actions among them. None of them, except the one whom God had designated, could approach God in His holy place. Any person who approached without heeding God's clear instructions could only expect death. And keep in mind, Aaron is of the tribe of Levi, who are, again, as we said before, set apart for God, consecrated for Him. Anyway, the people got the message. All right, now we go to chapter 18, the duties of the priests and Levites. Then the Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons and your father's house with you shall bear the iniquity related in the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you shall bear the iniquity associated with your priesthood. Also bring with you your brethren of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, that they may be joined with you and serve you while you and your sons are with you before the tabernacle of the witness. They shall attend to your needs and all the needs of the tabernacle, but they shall not come near the articles of the sanctuary and the altar, lest they die, they and you also. They shall be joined with you and attend to the needs of the tabernacle of meeting, for all the work of the tabernacle, but an outsider shall not come near you." Largely a repeat of what's already been mentioned earlier regarding the Levites in the tabernacle. But continuing, verse 5, "And you shall attend to the duties of the sanctuary and the duties of the altar, and there may be no more wrath on the children of Israel. Behold, I myself have taken your brethren, the Levites, from among the children of Israel. They are a gift to you, given by the Lord to do the work of the tabernacle. Therefore you and your sons with you shall attend to your priesthood, for everything at the altar and behind the veil you shall serve. I give you your priesthood to you as a gift for service, but the outsider who comes near shall be put to death." All right. So, priesthood is being given to them, given to the Levites, out of service to God Himself. Okay, this, I guess you could say, this is a result of their work. their service to God. Now, mind you, priesthood also comes with a responsibility. It's not just a title where you can just say, "Oh, look, I'm a priest. How amazing I am." No, there are a lot of responsibilities tied to priesthood, and you're also, also one of those responsibilities is to create a lineage of priesthood, where are you to leave a legacy set up for the next generation. Yeah. You have a responsibility to set an example and to live godly so that through your lineage, the next generation of priests will be godly also. Just keep in mind, this present generation has been destined to die out in the wilderness and not enter the promised land. It's the next generation that's going to be entering the promised land. Therefore, the present generation, their responsibility is to prepare the next generation. Yeah. I mean, I can't fathom how many Hebrews at the time of that current generation were wanting to cooperate, knowing that they had missed out on the promised land. Well, nevertheless, God still has expectations of them. And keep in mind, even while they were still out in the desert for those 40 years, God still provided for them. God still watched over them, protected them, kept their clothes from wearing out. He still cared for them. He still held up his end of the bargain. So, at least out of some kind of humble gratitude, they would have some incentive to do this, to at the very least finish out their lives in obedient fashion. So, I mean, surely that's motivation. But continuing. Offerings for support of the priests. Verse 8. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Here I myself have also given you charge of my heave offerings, all the holy gifts of the children of Israel, and I have given them as a portion to you and your sons as an ordinance forever. This shall be yours, of all of the most holy things reserved from the fire, every offering of theirs, every grain offering, and every sin offering, and every trespass offering, which they tender to me, shall be most holy for you and your sons. In a most holy place you shall eat it, every male shall eat it, it shall be holy to you. This also is yours, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them to you and your sons and daughters with you, as an ordinance forever. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat it." Sorry. "All the best of the oil, all the best of the new wine and the grain, their first fruits which they offer to the Lord, I have given to you. Whatever the first ripe fruit is in their land, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat it. Every devoted thing in Israel shall be yours. Everything that first opens the womb of all flesh, which they bring to the Lord, whether man or beast, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man you shall surely redeem, and the firstborn of unclean animals you shall redeem. And those redeemed of the devoted things you shall redeem when 1 month old, according to your valuation. For 5 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstborn of a cow, the firstborn of a sheep, or the firstborn of a goat you shall not redeem. They are holy." You shall sprinkle their blood on the altar, and burn their fat as an offering made by fire. For a street... sorry. Sorry. And their flesh shall be yours, just as the wave, breast, and the right thigh are yours. All the heave offerings of the holy things, which the children of Israel offer to the Lord, I have given to you and your sons and daughters with you as an ordinance forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before the Lord with you, and your descendants with you. Then the Lord said to Aaron, You shall have no inheritance in their land, nor shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. So, this is all talking about support, being made to the priests. A portion of offerings to God were actually going to the priests for them to consume. Yeah, they were allowed to eat meat that was offered to God. And keep in mind, what God desired were the first fruits and the best. First and the best. And the priests were allowed to eat them because of their work. These were gifts tied to their priestly work. This is an example of him providing for those who belong to him. He takes care of his. And notice the last part of this section where it says, I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. Jesus talks about how you shouldn't save up treasures on earth where it can spoil from rust and moth. Instead, we need to save up heavenly treasures, which cannot rust or spoil. And God, He is our portion and our inheritance. It's Him that we should ultimately be desiring, as opposed to gold and silver and precious stones and all other stuff that you just can't take with you when your time comes. Yeah. Oh yes, the rich fool, he had stored up so much for himself, and it says, I am going to eat, drink, and be merry, and God says, you fool, this very night you shall die, then who will get it all? Yeah? God gets to decide when your time comes, and if He has to take your life to prove a point, He's gonna. Yeah. All right. Continuing on, verse 21. Tithes for support of the Levites. Behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance for their work in which they perform, work of the tabernacle of meeting. Hereafter the children of Israel shall not come near the tabernacle of meeting, lest they bear sin and die. Yes, only the Levites can come near the tabernacle. Just them, set apart. Yeah, what better way to quash a rebellion than saying you can no longer come to the tabernacle? I mean, that'll humble you, definitely. But the Levites shall perform the work of the tabernacle of meeting, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance, for the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer up as a heave offering to the Lord, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I have said to them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. So, the Levites, they receive of the tithes, being offered up to the Lord as done in return for their service in the tabernacle. This is, I guess you could say, God being a rewarder of those who serve Him. They receive what the children of Israel offer up, and the children of Israel, they get nothing. No inheritance. Continuing, the tithe of the Levites. Yes, we talked about the tithes for support of the Levites. Now we have to look at the tithes that the Levites themselves have to offer. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak thus to the Levites, and say to them, When you take from the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them as your inheritance, then you shall offer up a heave offering of it to the Lord, 1/10 of the tithe, and your heave offering shall be reckoned to you as though it were the grain of the threshing floor, as the fullness of the winepress. Thus you shall also offer a heave offering to the Lord from all your tithes which you receive from the children of Israel, and you shall give the Lord's heave offering from it to Aaron the priest. Of all your gifts you shall offer up every heave offering due to the Lord, from all the best of them, the consecrated part of them. Therefore you shall say to them, When you have lifted up the best of it, then the rest shall be accounted to the Levites as the produce of the threshing floor, and as the produce of the winepress. You may eat it in any place, you and your households, for it is your reward for your work in the tabernacle of meeting, and you shall bear no sin of it, because you have lifted up the best of it, but you shall not profane the holy gifts of the children of Israel, lest you die. So, message here, again, the Levites have to offer up 1/10 of what they receive from the children of Israel, and what stands out says, "You shall bear no sin when you have lifted up the best of it." So, God gets the best. We have to offer up our first fruits and our best fruits to God. Boy, that requires dying to yourself, a willingness to let go of our first and our best, and then trust God when you give it up. All right, well, that concludes our session for today. Next time we'll be in chapter 19. Until then, God bless.